This is the story of Popsie Guy, aka Dave, and how we ended up here on YouTube. I'm not sure how I ended up here, but you know what? I thank God that I did because I'm in Northwest Florida, the Panhandle. It's 62 degrees and it's beautiful. And I'm in an area that if you ever get a chance to visit, you're going to love it. But let me tell you the story real quick. I'm 62 years old. I call myself Popsie Guy, not because I decided that's a great name to name my YouTube channel, hanging out with Popsie Guy, by the way, is because my oldest grandson, I've got 6 grandchildren, is 7 years old now. But it was back when he was about 3.5 years old, that he asked his mother, my daughter, "Hey, when's that little Popsie Guy coming over to play again?" And she goes, "Who are you talking about?" He said, "Pops." That was what I wanted to be called. And she said, "Little Popsie Guy?" And he said, "Yeah." So it stuck, and now I am Popsie Guy to the grandkids. And Popsie Guy loves to have fun. Popsie Guy still is at that point in his life where I can roll with the best of them. I can hang with the 7-year-old. I can throw the 3-month-old on my shoulder and go for a walk. Not really throw them, you know what I mean. I'm not afraid of babies. I'm better with the older ones because I can knock them down and they can bleed, and I say, "Hey, shh, don't tell mom." And they laugh. Anyway, so getting back to the whole idea behind getting on YouTube was I spend a lot of time on YouTube. You know, something that you need to know about me. Back in 2015, I cut the cord, which means I cut off a cable TV, paying way too much money to a service that was giving me, how many 800 channels that I don't watch. Like most Americans, I get this big TV and I'll find 7 or 8 channels that I like to watch. And that's it. I think I was paying $130 a month at the time. So what's that, 10 years ago? Streaming was not a big thing back then. If I wanted to watch a NHL game, I'd have to actually hook my computer up through an HDMI cable and get on the NHL network and do it that way. But I just learned that there's a lot of good people out there putting on good content in YouTube, and that's really jumping from 2015 to now. I spend most of my time watching YouTube. You can find anything you want because YouTube is owned by Google, and most kids today grew up in a generation where they didn't have to learn anything; they could just Google it. YouTube is the same thing. I remember one day I was helping my son replace a headlight to his car. Like, dude, I don't know how to do this. So we both grabbed our phones, got on YouTube, and some 15-year-old Asian kid's like, "This is how you do it." I'm like, thank God for YouTube. But that's just where we are in technology today. And telling stories is something I've always loved to do. And YouTube is a place to hear about stories, to hear about people's journeys, to say, hey, that person's not that much different than I am. And to really understand that it's okay to share your story because somebody might be going through something that you're going through and learn something. And I'm hoping that this channel is a gateway to learn things. I've already posted a few videos. Last couple of videos, I'm veering towards what I know best, which is the economy, personal finances, things of that nature. Only because I had owned my own very small financial planning firm for a number of years. It was just me. I didn't hire staff. I loved it. The business model was basically to do the opposite of what a lot of investment firms do, which is to try to sell you something and move on. I tried to build my firm around building relationships and comprehensive advice. So I didn't earn commissions from the sales of products. I did earn a fee from managing portfolios, which is pretty much the norm. But I also earned fees for just advice, doing financial planning and giving advice. And very much like when a contractor comes to your home and provides you a service, they give you a bill and you pay the bill. There's no trying to upsell you. Well, there might be in some cases. But in my business, no, that's not what I was all about. So I'm taking some of that experience and I'm I'm bringing it to YouTube. I've got a lot of friends in the financial planning world still, advisory world, who, if they ever stumble over these videos, are going to call me up and say, dude, what are you doing? You're telling all our secrets. Stop doing that. Well, it's not so much telling secrets. It's warning people that, things have not changed. Businesses are businesses that need to make money. I did a video not long ago. Is your advisor is your financial advisor an advisor or a salesperson? I know I'm rambling, but I just want to share with you, that's basically the content of this story. So how did I get here? Well, I realized at 62, I took early Social Security. And I'm going to dissuade the rumor that's bouncing around in your mind right now, or the thought, oh, he must have lots of money. Look at, he's walking on the beach. He's 62 years old. He's making YouTube videos. This dude must have money coming out of his, you know what, falling out of the sky. Not true. Not true at all. I'm a Christian. I'm a Bible-believing Christian, and I believe that God provides. And here's an example of what he does for somebody like me. I'm out here in Northwest Florida on the Panhandle. If you haven't already figured it out, I was not born and raised here. I was actually born and raised in New England, so you're going to hear that Boston accent come through every once in a while. But I learned to beat it out of myself because I used to do some, in my financial planning days, public speaking, and if I would travel, somebody would hear my accent and go, say that again. I say what? Just say that again. I didn't know what they were talking about. Then I realized if you're from Boston and you're down in North Carolina sometime, they can pick you out like it's not hard. So I decided to work on changing that. But there are times that you'll hear it slip through, which I'm not worried about. So here we are. My wife and I were both 62. 2024 was a tough year for both of us financially. We moved here in 2022. Both had good paying remote jobs. My wife was in she just gotten back into being involved in the travel business. I had gotten back into recruiting. If you remember, there was a thing back in 2020, I think they call it the vid or the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? It wiped both of our businesses right out. I was a recruiter. She was a travel agent. What were the two things that were not happening in 2020, 2021, and not until sometime in late 2022 did things start to become normalized? So we both lost our businesses and kind of went into a financial slide because we were self-employed. Didn't have paychecks coming in, no pensions, no 401ks, nothing to draw on. But we did that, and I'll share with you. You may click off here and say, well, he's a knucklehead. He deserves everything he got. Well, I'll speak for myself. I became self-employed right after my kids were born because I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to be there for all the moments in their lives, and which I was. Both of my wife and I, we didn't miss anything because being self-employed gives you that opportunity to create your own schedule. Well, being self-employed also gives you the opportunity not to make any money. And when you start a new business from scratch, as I have done on a couple of occasions, you're not making any money. But the thing is, kids like to eat. Mortgages like to get paid. Bills need to get paid. So you go into debt to do those things because you know you live in the greatest country in the world and things will turn around. And they did. Absolutely did. So there's no regret about that, but I continued to do that. So my financial planning firm, you need to know this, got sucked up into the great financial crisis in 2008, the recession, lost that. People stopped investing. People weren't worried about investing money. They were worried about, I'm going to lose my house. I lost my job. My kid's tuition needs to be paid. I got to eat. So they weren't putting money into investment accounts. They were taking money out of investment accounts. They weren't hiring financial planners. The whole world, at least the world that I was living in, was in crisis mode. So we got through that. Oh, by the way, at the time, we were living down in South Florida, the epicenter of the real estate. Well, you could say Vegas and other areas were as well. But where we were in South Florida, I can tell you right now, I remember walking through the neighborhood that we were in and seeing beautiful homes, beautiful, 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath, 3-car garage. To me, mansions, right? I grew up in New England, where if you had a 1,500 square foot home, you were a king. But these houses were all empty. Not because they were second homes and people just weren't there, because the people that had those houses couldn't afford them anymore and they left. They just left. If you've ever seen The Big Short, that movie captures it, I think, extremely well. But the reason I tell you all that is we bounce back, and that is with the grace of God. God has a plan, and part of his plan is you believe and you put your faith and your trust and you realize who you are in relation to who God is. He will take care of you. You may not like the journey, but he will carry you through these things. It reminds me of the time when Meshach, Abednego, and who's the third guy, were in the fiery furnace. And Nebuchadnezzar saw that there were 4 people in the furnace, and one of them looked like a god. It was Jesus. And it reminds me all the time that he is with us through these storms. He carries us through these things. So again, God's grace brought me through that. And I reinvented myself from a business standpoint. I opened a recruiting firm from scratch. So I'm not a baker, but I do a lot of things from scratch. I had absolutely zero experience in recruiting, but I had a lot of friends in the financial planning business who were trying to grow their companies. I enjoyed leadership and understanding how to develop leaders. And so I took what was then the most common recruiting model, which is I get a guy, you pay him $100,000, I take 30%, and then we move forward. And that was the recruiter's model. It probably still is. Just like I purposefully planned my financial planning firm to be different, I purposefully planned this recruiting company to be different. So I didn't charge a commission. I charged a small retainer deposit so that the client had skin in the game. And then once the candidate went through the process and stayed with the company for a certain amount of time, I get paid the balance. And it didn't matter how much money they were earning. It was a flat fee. So if it was a position where the candidate was going to get $60,000, my fee was the same. If it was a position where the candidate was going to get $150,000, my fee stayed the same. Loved it. It was a time in my life. I got to meet some great people. I was working remotely. Now they call it remotely. I was working from home on my laptop. My wife was doing the same thing as a travel agent. So if we needed to get up and go someplace, we could do that. Just bring a laptop, get a Wi-Fi signal, bang, you're in business. Had some really good years, met some really great people, and then 2020 happened. And you know what happened in 2020. Everything shut down. So at the time, I had 17 projects that I was working on, had conversations with each and every client, and they said, just shut it down. We can't even get in the office, let alone hire somebody. And if we do hire them, what are we going to do with them? And you know how long that lasted. So that business went poof. And so I did what I had to do. Right now, with retirees and what they call side hustles, which between you and I absolutely hate that term. It's a side hustle. Side of what? It's a part-time job. Why do we have to redefine everything? A side hustle. So I found part-time work. I love driving. Something I'm a whack job when it comes to that. I don't mind driving. You put me in the car, tell me you need me to drive 15 hours, I'll do it. I thought about becoming a truck driver. Smartened up and didn't do that. But I was one of the first ones to find what is now Walmart Spark. It was with a different company, a different app, but it was the same concept. People would order from Walmart during the pandemic. You'd go to Walmart. I didn't have to do any of the shopping. I'm a guy. I hate shopping. I would pull up. They'd put the stuff in my truck. I'd bring it to the people, drive away, get the next one. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Lived relatively close to the Walmart, so my app was going off all the time. I was making I was making $300-400 a week. I was loving it. So I did what I had to do. Then things started turning around. I got back into a recruiting role with a local hospital on a contract basis. Enjoyed that. Didn't enjoy having to wear a mask every day. But then we realized that here my wife and I are living still back up in Massachusetts. We had moved back, a number of moves, but our kids are not, they're not in Massachusetts. So we decided we've got one that lives in East Tennessee, another one that lives on just a few hours east of where we are, that we wanted to be closer to them, but we didn't want to be in their backyards, right? They're married, they've got their own families. They don't need us. This is our opinion. I mean, if you're a grandparent and you're living in your kid's backyard, good for you. It wasn't for us. So we found a place on YouTube. Everything comes right around. And I'm also a contrarian, as you can tell. I do things that other people are not doing just because I don't want to be a conformist. I said, where are people not moving to from New England? Well, you can scratch out Texas. You can scratch out South Florida. You can scratch out North Carolina because they're all going there. East Tennessee, same thing. We had lived there for about 3.5 years. Loved it, but wasn't going back. So we found this little place on the Panhandle, and we love it. We absolutely love it. I have a side hustle. I work part-time. You know what Popsie Guy does part-time? Delivers pizza. Yeah, I deliver pizza. I love it. You know why I love it? Because, number one, nobody's looking for me. I don't get emails at 7 o'clock in the morning saying you have to be at a meeting at this time. I don't get clients saying, hey, how come this is not done? I don't have to chase people for money. It's just the greatest thing because I take fresh, hot pizza. I walk up your walkway. I knock on your door. You smile at me and give me money. Come on. It's a great deal. Now, I'll do that as long as I can, right? I mean, what am I? 35 years older than the oldest guy or girl or whoever works there. So they look at me as like the old guy. And I play that up. I hope they don't see this, but I play it up. I work maybe 15 hours a week. And I do pretty good. It allows me to do this, come out on the beach and talk to you. So that's Popsie Guy's story. My wife, she has a side hustle as well. She works part-time in the medical field. Check this out. She works in a pharmacy. Yeah, has zero medical background, zero medical training, but this firm, this company, it's a grocery store here in Florida, they trained her, and she loves it. Matter of fact, they called her in early today. Say, hey, can you come help? And you know why? Because one of the millennials couldn't show up. They were sick. They can't make it to work. If you're a boomer like me, that stuff just doesn't fly. You know what I mean? Even at the pizza joint, it's like, suck it up, buttercup, come to work. People rely on you. Somebody makes a schedule, they expect you to be there. If you can't be there, you don't call an hour into your shift or an hour before your shift and say, I don't feel good, I don't think I can make it. That's the highest form of disrespect, in my opinion, growing up as I grew up. So what do I want to accomplish with you? I want you to be part of the community. I want you to say, hey, that Popsie guy is thinking the same way I'm thinking. Or, hey, what does he know about this? And I'll keep dropping videos on personal finance. I just started one and I deleted it because I had the camera backwards. Don't tell anybody. On whether or not you should buy an annuity in your retirement portfolio. And it's not advice. I'm not a financial advisor anymore. It's just I've seen how the sausage is made. Let's put it that way. But I'll also talk about Social Security. As I mentioned, I took it at 62. I used to tell clients who would come to me when I was in my 30s as an advisor. They would say, hey, when do you think I should take Social Security? Should I take it early? There's all kinds of rumors that Social Security is not going to be there when I'm there. What should I do? And everything else. And Popsie Guy, wasn't known as Popsie Guy back then. But I would say, well, I can answer that question easily for you. Just you answer one question and we got it all nailed. And I'd say, well, what's the one question? I'd say, tell me when you're going to die. They just look at me and say, huh, it's a stupid question. I said, no, it's not really, because Social Security payments are an actuarial formula, just like pension payments. And so when somebody says you should wait till your full retirement age or even wait longer, you're going to get 8% every year, that is not a bonus that they're giving you for not taking it. It's a reflection of the fact that you're going to die in a quicker time frame than if you took it at 62, and they're going to have to pay out less money. So, hey, I'll go into that. I see all these retirees, and there's another word I really hate, retirement. I see all these people bashing each other. You shouldn't take it at 62. You should wait to 67. Anybody that tells you to take it at 62 doesn't know what they're talking about, because yada, yada, yada. But truly, if you know when you're going to die, that's the decision. The rest of it is, how much money do you have? How much money do you spend? How much money do you need? I don't know. Only you know that. But we'll get into that, and I'll give you some thoughts on that. I personally, you know what I did, and I have absolutely no regrets. To me, it's like once a month somebody puts money in my bank account. As a self-employed guy for most of my life, that never happened. It's like stealing, but I love it. I love it. And what I'll also talk about later on is whether or not you should consider, once you decide to stop working, you've got the big house that you were hoping the kids would flock to every Thanksgiving and every Christmas, but they're all over the country. Getting them together is almost an impossibility, but you held on to the house, holding on to that dream that they'll all come, but they ain't coming. What do you do with it? Talk to you about that too, especially with what's going on in the real estate market right now. But hey, listen, it's a good journey. I really hope you take this journey with me. I'd love for you to tell me, hey, Dave, Popsie Guy, tell me more about what's going on with your grandkids, without telling me their names and where they live and all that stuff. I don't need to know. What kind of games do you play with them? I've invented more games. My 7-year-old grandson and I tell you what, they just come like that. So I'm good at that. I really enjoy that. But so here we are. We're on the beach. It's going to get very cold here in this part of the world the next couple of days. Everybody's going to be complaining how cold it is. But you don't know what cold is until you live up in New England in January, or even in the Midwest. I would not want to live in Chicago. Yeah, that must be cold. But I'm going to let you enjoy this weather with me next time we come out. So don't forget to subscribe and like the channel, and leave me a comment if you get an opportunity. I'd love to grow the community and get to know you a little bit better. Even if no one watches, this has been a blast. I love this. You should try it. This is Popsie Guy signing off.